Hi, I'm Kristan Erner, the host of the City Savvy Show. Thank you for tuning in. It is episode 5, and it is about time that I introduce my partner in crime, Jaicel Aquino. We've had quite a journey together, and I said to her about a month ago, what must our clients think of us and the dynamics that we've created and what we do? It's an amazing pleasure to have you. You are not only our friend, you're a family friend, you're our business partner. But what is it that makes us a good partnership? It's been 12 years?
Yes, 12 years. It's been 12 years now, going to 13, working with Kristan Erner, and I didn't regret. It was a pleasure working with you as my mentor, actually. I'm not going to be here if not with you.
Right. Well,
right?
I think we had talked about that before because I had asked you to partner up with me and you said no. Then I asked you again. This was over about an 8 months to a 1 year process. We were at my family business and we different brand. We knew the brand was coming to an end. And you had come to this office to do multiple offers, and you were like, "Wow, you got to see this place."
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and it was a good transition. And I said, "Well, why don't we, if we go to this new company, why don't we work together?" But there was hesitation. You said no. Why?
I think the first hesitation was because I was new in the business, right? And I was worried that I'm not gonna perform or I'm gonna, I don't know, put you down or something. That I think that's the first hesitant, and I don't know if I'm gonna be a good realtor.
Right.
So I think that was the first. But when I got my license 2007, I was working, and I think after 3 months I did a full time, and here we go. Now what? 15 years, and I'm still.
You're in real estate 15 years
yes.
total, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're working on 13 years together, working. So that's quite the history. I mean, when you think about it. But there was a question that you had asked me earlier. I asked you why would you work with me? But why?
Why did you choose me?
Right. I mean, because it works both ways. And I think as the son, I'm a first generation Canadian, and I want to get into this a little bit later, but I'm first generation Canadian. So I had my mother pave the way. My parents paved the way. Being first generation makes it a little bit easier, but you're the first one to Canada, and I think I wasn't looking for somebody that was like my mother. I was looking for somebody that had the work ethic like my mother, and you had that, and I had seen that back in the day when we were at the other company. I saw how hardworking you were. I saw how dedicated you were, and I felt that by joining forces with you, it would keep me motivated and keep me moving. And I think that's what I saw in you, and that's why I was so persistent in working together, because really, the origin of our partnership really took so many dips and turns and
yeah. There's a lot. Oh
yeah. And it's amazing.
Jennifer knows that, right? Yeah.
And there's we have had full on arguments and disagreements. We don't always agree, but in the end we always agree that our principles are there, and I
think that's more important, right? I mean, It's like a husband and wife. You don't always agree, right? And at work, it's always the same thing. And I always tell my client, sometimes they'll call me and they're like, I want to quit my job because, they're not happy. But again, it's the same thing. When you move, there's going to be always something. And I think with Kristan and I, we do work as a duo, right? We understand and we respect each other. And sometimes I'm stressed, and he knows when I'm stressed. So he's there, right? So all the time for me. So I think that's a good partnership for sure.
I'm not there all the time. I try to be there for you, but I am guilty because we get so consumed in other people's lives that it's sometimes really difficult for us to be there for one another. But in the end, we always know that we're there. You have that dynamic with your husband. I have the dynamic with my wife, and it always comes back together one way or the other. I want to talk about your journey, because your journey is important to not only our journey, but when you came to Canada, you were the first of three. You have four. There's four of you, three siblings. Yes. There's four sisters, and you were sent here almost like a guinea pig.
A guinea pig.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we call, right?
And that's amazing. You know, you were testing the waters. You were either going to go to the U.S.
Yes.
and you were going to go to Canada. And I think your sister said to me the other day, "Thank God that you came to Canada because." You got to meet me, and she got to go to the hockey games every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. She loved that for sure, right?
But it's more than that, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So when you came to Canada, you know, you started off. How did you end up in real estate? Like because you went to school. I know that you never missed a day from your grade 9 to graduation. Perfect attendance. You were the hall monitor, I believe.
Yes.
And so you were this perfect student and very studious, and then you come to Canada. Then your first job is what? I know the answer, but they don't.
First job? I work in a restaurant.
Right.
Yeah. So I came to Canada 2002. I graduated in business management, and I decided to go in Canada because I was looking at options, what I'm going to do in the Philippines, and I think the career is limited. So what I said is okay to my mom, that's okay, maybe it's either US or Canada. And I said, I want Canada because I have a lot of relatives in here. And I think that's a big help on my decision because I don't want to go to a country and then I don't have no one, right? So that's the first thing. I do have a lot of cousins here, as you know, you met all of them, right?
I feel like I'm related too.
Yes. So I think that's the first big thing. I started applying for a job, and of course, because I don't have experience, guess what? Nobody hires you, right? Because you don't have experience. So I went to YMCA, and she found me there, and she got me this job at Marche, at Bayview, Richtree. I started a cashier, right, and moved my way up as a manager. After that, I did go work for a real estate company. I started a receptionist there. And that's when I have, you know, I see these realtors, right, and agents, and I see that how they do their work. And I was thinking, like, you know what? I think I can do this. I love dealing with people. I love helping people, right? And in my head, I think I can even do better. And that's where I start my course at night. My manager doesn't even know I was starting.
Your manager was your husband, wasn't it? Or your former?
No, when I was in real estate, when I was working for Remax already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm done with the restaurant. Actually, no, I worked there at night too. So
right.
I work in the morning at Remax, and then I work at night.
And I want to remind you, you also worked at Tim Hortons.
Yes, so that
in the morning rush.
That's when I got my license. Okay, so I
remember calling Jaicel saying, "How long should I be in line here? There's 15 cars in front of me." And she would say, "Well, it's supposed to be what?
2-3 minutes, right? You have to fast, right? So usually, if you're ordering Tim Hortons, go to the drive-thru, not inside, because they're faster there. Because there's like 10 people there, and inside you're gonna see there's like one serving like 20 people.
Right. So you're super efficient.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that's
Sorry
my
to interrupt
start.
you, by the way.
No, that's okay. But I remember. In Remax, and that's what I said. And then when I got my license, I was not too sure if I can do it. You know, you're going to be self-employed, right? How are you going to do it? So I told my husband, I need something just to kind of keep it up for now, right? So I did go work at Tim Hortons. That lasted only 3 months just because I get busy. And I got busy, and, you know, you can't answer your phone, right? So I think I'm missing clients. So after 3 months, I quit, and I just said, I'm just going to do this full force. And yeah, so I think now we're here.
But there's a lot of before here that's missing here because you bought real estate.
Yes, 2003 actually. So 2002,
right.
And then 2003 I have my first house.
Right.
And I stayed there until 2000.
That's even before you started real estate. You bought a house.
Yes, with the help of my mom. Thank you.
Right.
I won't hide that. Yeah, my mom helped me.
Whose parents
right?
don't help them, right?
Yeah.
Most part, right?
And honestly, that's what we're doing right now, right? That's what I'm doing with my kids. That's why I'm going build generation wealth, and I'm so excited that that's what we're doing now because how much now is even a condo, right? So I think it is very good that I start. Like I purchased my pre-construction, and that's what I did, right? So.
Right. So your journey now, kind of, how does that relate now to your clients and our friends' journey? Because it starts like you arrive in Canada from wherever, whether it be the Philippines or India. Actually, funny, I'm going to just do an aside here. We had a client and a good friend stop in. They were going to a restaurant close by.
Yes, yeah.
And our friend, he sat down. He says, when we leave the Philippines, we don't come here planning to rent.
No.
We come here planning to own a home, and I found that amazing. And I think that journey. And I remember with you, I think you start people's journey about the time they arrive, and it's about a 3 to 5 year journey from the time that they arrive in Canada to the time they own.
Yes.
Right.
And now they own a home, right? And then now they own an investment.
Right.
And now they're planning of another one, right?
Right.
So
but that's for that specific client.
Yes.
But usually, what journey do you take clients on from the beginning? Forget about having any money. They have their jobs. They're getting established here in Canada. What's the first thing you do?
So the first thing, I do work with a lot of immigrants. So I guess first time is they do rent, right? After a year or 2 years, I usually keep in touch with them, and then after 2 years, when they're settled, that's where I usually follow up with them. And then a lot of people have this mentality of they want to keep saving to buy their dream home, right? And I always tell the client, why don't we buy now what you can afford, right? Instead of saving and saving.
Stepping stones.
Yes, stepping stone, right? Because if you're just saving, you're gonna be behind, right? Because of the prices right now are so expensive now. Even how much is now a detached, right? I remember from 2007 when I have a client of pre-approval of 450 or 500, I can get a detached, no problem.
Right.
Right now, 850, it was like 850, where do you want to be, right?
Right.
And remember, we always say, what do we say? Like drive
until
you qualify,
right?
right? So that's what we always tell our client now. And I have one that, okay, they want to be in a Etobicoke, and it's not possible right now. So what they said, okay, maybe we'll buy a condo first. And then after 2-3 years, then they have the more equity. Then going to rent out that condo, and then they'll buy the house.
And I think it's the same story with people who are born here as well. I mean, there's stepping stones that we all have to take.
Mm-hmm,
That your first place was a town, mine was a condo,
Agree,
and
yeah.
then another condo, and then a house. So the story is the same, except that I find when I'm hearing you talking to clients, and we're in the same office.
In Tagalog.
You speak Tagalog, and I seem to understand somehow. But you're always setting them up with Sandra Barnes from Dominion Lending. To at least talk to Sandra. Doesn't mean you have to go with Sandra. We want people to go with Sandra because she's so amazing what she does. But you normally set them up with Sandra to get them on the road to setting up credit.
And then especially to go get them in the right path, because sometimes a lot of actually my client are from the Philippines, they don't like credit cards, right? So in here I said credit is very important. So actually that's the first step. I will tell them is get a credit card because it's very important. I have clients that have been in the country for like a year, and when it's time to buy, it was so hard. Like, she's making a lot of money, but then it was very hard to get the approval because of the credit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so really, you've impacted a lot of lives, which is, an amazing thing. And, all this information for people, when I hear that, how are our children going to afford to buy a home? How can anybody afford a home? And there are so many ways, new home developments. And like you said, you start investing for our children, for our futures. And so, what? It's an amazing thing what you did. Shifting a little bit. Your sister is closing on a door today.
Yeah. She's getting her key today.
And she, in 2017, this is just
an example.
It's a great example, and because in 2017 she paid 409
409
for
for
the
a one
condo
bedroom.
at Young and Shepherd.
Shepherd, yeah.
And now this condo is worth how much?
650.
650. And when I was on the phone with her, or I actually took the headphones off your ears and I put them on mine, and I said, hey, Susie, guess what you can do now with all that extra equity? You can buy, but she's already bought in another door. But she can now go buy another door with restructuring. So it's amazing real estate. You know, and I've said it to other guests and I've said it to many clients that the market goes up and down and shifts. It never goes straight up because you don't want it just to go straight up.
It's not going to crash. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But we're in a nice stable market. You know, I could ask you, you know, where do you think the market is going? You know, do you find that it's oversaturated? It's obviously it's a seller's market.
It is, yeah.
So where do you see the next? This is a question that's, you know, we don't know because we don't have the crystal ball. We don't have the crystal ball.
We don't have the crystal ball, and I always tell my clients.
But what do you tell your clients? Like, is it worth buying now, or should I wait until January, February?
It's worth buying now, for sure. Again, the other one they're talking about is because interest rates are going up, right? So now they're thinking, okay, interest rates are going up. Guess what? The housing market is going down. And I said, no, right? If you look at the average price from 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and 21, there's no, like, we have probably even the stat, you'll see a little dip, but not like going down. Because I have actually one client ask, and do you think the market's gonna down and it will be like 150,000, you know, less, right? And I said no.
Right. My meeting today with friends and clients, and they want to buy a cottage. They've already bought. They have two doors. They just closed on a door, and then we're talking about new development now. And then they sent me some pictures of cottages, which were 3 hours away. And I said, well, the shimmer of how nice a cottage may seem and the lake right there is not the same as, you're going to get bored of that after a while. And real estate investing is not necessarily exciting, but in the long term, it will fulfill many dreams, not only for yourself, but for your kids and possibly their kids. But investing in the GTA market is a marvelous thing because you'll be able to travel and do things that you might not have been able to do if you didn't invest in real estate. And buying a cottage is great, but I think buying a cottage, you know, was a COVID thing. Everybody wanted to get out of the city, have a place to go. But I think once that all simmers down, I don't think it will be such a hot commodity once COVID.
No, we're actually going back to normal now, right? So, I mean, we have a client that moved out, west, right? Sold a townhouse for $685 and then bought out west. And after 6 months, they realized they have to move back because of work.
Going back to work, yeah.
Work to work. So we sold it, but we sold the house almost $200,000 after 6 months, right? So they were so happy because now they're back in Mississauga and they got a detached. So that was, I think that was until now. When I talk to my client, they're very happy.
Yeah, no, that's
and they're
amazing.
Very thankful.
Yeah, it's amazing. A lot of people did move away, and they swore they would never have to move back. And we have lots of stories, and we always tell them, don't do it. Well, you know, you're going to be called back to work eventually.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, you can go and buy in Quebec. I heard people saying, well, we're going to move to Quebec or because the prices are cheap. But that's, you know, and we do say drive until you qualify. But you know what? The jobs are here. And so, like I said, we go back to stepping stones. When we first came to this company, they branded us. I want to go back, if you don't mind. I want to go back. We were just two. So we formed this team, and I never really completed what we wanted to talk about. So you agreed to work with me. Okay,
yes.
I agreed to work with you.
Yeah.
And then when we came, we went into the design department, and all of a sudden I saw the Kristan Erner group. And the Kristan Erner group was not my idea. It wasn't your idea. It was someone else's idea. I don't know whose idea it was, but then we became this team. And then we felt the pressure of having to build a team. And then when we built that team, it really wasn't comfortable, was it?
No, because sometimes, you know, when you have a team, Kristan and I really work kind of the same, right? So when you have a team, you want to make sure that they work like you, right? Like I remember when we have one and, sometimes we look at the properties, right? And we tell our clients that don't buy this, right? They're ready to put an offer, right? I have clients that Jaicel, I can't look at the house today. Can you just do it for me? Right? Because this is their third home for us, right? So she's like, can you just do it for me? You're very picky anyway. You're like, so it's okay. And I said, no, right? I still want you to look at the house. But I think having the team, sometimes it's very hard.
Just watered down.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we, and I talked to our top producers here in the office, and the two partners, one thing that they may fight often, but they talk about reasons why it could separate them, and we never talk about money. It's not about money for us. It's about making people happy, and I think when you have a team, you kind of, you lose that.
Yeah, and I think with our client, we're always like really hands-on. Like,
we want to tell people you don't want to buy this, and this is why you don't want to buy it, and then
after they move, they still call me, right? Like. Yeah.
Yeah. So we like you said, you end up now selling their children homes.
Yes, and for you.
Well, thanks. Now I'm selling the grandchildren homes. So.
Sorry.
But that's okay. But that's the process. And so then the Kristan Erner group started to fade, and I wanted it to fade because the identity is basically Jennifer, Jaicel, and myself.
Yes.
And I think that's a marvelous thing. And so then City Savvy came by because of Jennifer. Jennifer was attending these social media things and workshops and what have you. And City Savvy came up, and then we became City Savvy Realtors. Ontario Real Estate Association came in and said, hey, we own realtors,
yes.
Just like that stupid show I was on and canceled. But we went through the whole process, and now we're officially licensed to be City Savvy Realtors in Canada, or in Ontario, in the Canadian Real Estate Association, actually. And so City Savvy is growing. We are going to build a team again, but they're going to be like-minded people.
Yeah.
We're not just going to grab people because they want us to grab people. City Savvy is here, and we're gonna grow it, and they're going to be grown by us and nurtured by us to be like us, and not just sell real estate to sell real estate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that you have been an inspiration to not only me, to my family, to everybody that we work with. And you are even though you want to be in the back, and you don't want to be the center of attention, you are the center of attention. And Jaicel Aquino is the friend and realtor that I will work with until my career is over, which will be never. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in to the City Savvy Show, and I hope you got something from today's episode, because we are here for you. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for our next episode.